Hello! Já jsem Broňa, nadšený učitel angličtiny z Brna, který pomáhá lidem zamilovat se do angličtiny. No a teď vás nadšeně vítám na začátku již třetího BroňaCastu, tedy mýho podcastu, kde se pravidelně spolu s váma dívám na různé oblasti angličtiny a na to, jak se v ní zlepšit. Ten dnešní díl bude úplně jiný než ty předchozí a asi i než ty budoucí. A to proto, že jsem si pozval 4 rodilí mluvčí a zeptal jsem se jich na zajímavé věci ohledně toho, jak vidí nás Čechy, naši angličtinu, jaký jsou naše typické české chyby, co je třeba překvapilo v České republice nebo na životě tady. Tak pokud vás zajímá, a já věřím, že jo, jak vlastně nás vidí rodilí mluvčí a naši angličtinu, tak vás vítám na začátku tohohle podcastu. A protože já jsem s nima natočil videorozhovory, tak to, co bude teďka následovat po tomhle úvodu, kde vás zdravím doma ze skříně, tak bude vlastně audiostopa těch videí toho našeho rozhovoru. Tak si to užijte, pokud se vám podcast bude líbit, tak budu nadšený, když se přihlásíte k k odbírání toho podcastu. Vidíte, že mi to jde skvěle. No a každopádně moc děkuju za vaši podporu a užijte si rozhovory.
So, first of all, can you briefly introduce yourself for the viewers?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Kira. I'm originally from Melbourne in Australia. I moved to Prague in the Czech Republic in January this year. Unfortunately, I'll be leaving in a month. I'll be going to live... I know. I'm actually quite sad. But I'll be going to live in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, where my husband is from. So that's kind of the connection. You know, I can't beat Amsterdam. But yeah, I've really liked living in Prague. So it'll be sad to go.
Thank you. We may come back.
Thank you.
So my first question is, what do you think about the level of Czech students or Czech people speaking English, especially if you can compare it with maybe other nationalities?
Yeah, the thing I notice the most is that a lot of people are lacking the confidence, not necessarily the skills. So they often tell me, I don't really know how to speak English, but then they really blow me away every time. So maybe it's just that they really want to surprise everyone and shock you. But
I love that.
Yeah, but no, it's really impressive. It's more just the confidence barrier, I think.
Okay. So be more self-confident.
Exactly.
Okay. Can you think about any typical Czech mistake or Czech problem as far as English is concerned?
The one thing I notice the most is the word the. So I really enjoy the nature, or I really enjoy the glass, whereas as a native English speaker, we would not even use the word the in these situations unless it's a specific, the tree over there.
Oh.
So I notice that a lot coming into the conversation, and I think sometimes it's the word filler,
That's a great point. Thank you. Was there something that surprised you about the students from the Czech Republic, maybe like their personality or about living in the Czech Republic?
I think the thing for me is that the students seem to be ranging, at least on Blabu, they really range in experience, in motivation for why they're wanting to learn English or speaking English. So that's a big gap for me because it's not like a one-size-fits-all. It's I'm talking to a retired woman living in a village that's never spoken to an English person before, or a student in high school. So it's really interesting, the variations I have.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Happy to hear it.
Nice.
Thank you. And the last question, what kind of advice would you give Czech students of English? So they're watching you, so tell them something.
I think it's really good that you get a balance in terms of, the practicing, the speaking. That's really key, number one. But it's also important that you balance it. So listening as well and, watching movies in English with subtitles or reading a book in English as much as you can. Obviously, we cannot all jump into a novel immediately, but even children's books are a great way to start. And having that range of activities that you're doing for your English is perfect. It's the best way to improve, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
You heard it. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure
problem.
to talking to you.
You too.
You can say bye-bye if you like.
Bye-bye.
So first of all, thank you for coming. And the first question, logically, can you briefly introduce yourself for the people?
My name is Janice. I work with Blabu, and I live in Prague. I've been here about 3 years, and I've been teaching English more or less for 10 years.
Fantastic. Thank you. What do you think about the level of Czech students in general? Because you've taught in different countries, so are we better, worse? Is there something specific about us?
I think it's pretty good, actually. I think that there's a lot of people here when I encounter them who are nervous to speak English, which is common. But I think that the actual level when you get them speaking is quite good. And I would say, even in my experience, probably a little bit above average.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, good job. You're good. Thank you. Can you think about any typical Czech mistake?
Yeah, one of the mistakes I see here is a pronunciation mistake with between the V and the W. So a lot of times the w will come off more like a v sound. So like, let's go for a vok instead of w, which is more, it doesn't have to do with your lips so much as more of like your jaw.
Oh. So can you do it properly?
Walk.
Beautiful. Thank you. So you see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Was there something that surprised you about Czech students or the Czech Republic?
Sure. Well, when I came here, I think that I had some experience living in other places. I'm originally from Canada, and I'd lived in the U.S. and Germany, and in a lot of those countries or in those cultures, it's common for strangers even to comment on something that they see you do in public. Whereas I feel one of the things I appreciate here is that strangers kind of leave you alone and let you let you be, as long as you're not trying to do anything that would like harm or injure them.
So
like
it seems like they're kind of tolerant people.
Much more tolerant, and I feel like it's it's more freeing here to be yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the last question, what kind of advice would you give to Czech students of English? Listen.
Yeah. I would say just kind of relax. We're not judging you. The main goal should be able to communicate your ideas. So worrying too much about grammar, too much about pronunciation, they're important to be able to make sure you're being understood. But really, at the end of the day, the goal is to communicate. So just focus on trying to get your idea and message across.
I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name is April. I am originally from the USA, from the East Coast. I am currently living in the Czech Republic. I've been living here for 2 years. I love traveling. I love food and reading, and of course, watching movies and television like most people.
Oh, fantastic. We food. That's excellent. Okay. My first question, official question, is maybe can you compare the level of Czech students, the level of English, with the people from the rest of the world? How are we?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have taught in many different countries. Czech Republic's my 5th country, and I actually find the students to be more advanced than other countries, I think, because the Czech students are just more eager to learn and they try harder. And so the level, you can just tell, is a little bit more advanced than everyone else.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Good. So am I when I teach as well. So.
Oh, fantastic. And can you think about any typical Czech mistake, maybe with grammar, pronunciation, some words we mixed or something,
What I find the biggest mistakes with the Czech people is the tenses, which makes sense because we have so many different tenses, but in the Czech language, there's only 3. And just some simple word formations, changing verbs to adverbs and when to use them. But other than that, there's not that many big Czech-specific mistakes.
Oh, fantastic. And was there something that surprised you about Czech people, maybe our mentality or approach to life, or, now you've been living here, is there something that you were like, oh?
Well, most people are pretty surprised with Czech people at first because they think they're pretty cold. They don't, smile as much as Americans. I actually find that as soon as you start speaking to a Czech person, they are super friendly and very helpful, and you just kind of have to say hi to them before, you get the normal side of them. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. And my last question is, this video will be watched by Czech students of English, maybe a few thousand of them. What kind of advice would you give them? Tell them something cool so they can use it.
I would say don't be so judgmental. Many people always tell me, oh, my English is so bad, and it's not. Keep practicing, talk to everyone you can, but honestly, you're a lot better than you think you are. So yeah.
Oh, that's the amazing adding. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Same to you, and thank you for all your videos.
Oh, thank you very much. So, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
My name is Jeff. I live in Sydney, Australia. I have been traveling the world basically since I finished high school. I've been to Asia and Europe. I just finished living in Mexico for 1 year. I also like sports and food, especially Asian food and basketball.
We have similar hobbies. I love food as well. It's my hobby number one, eating.
Yeah, it's amazing. I also like to cook as well as eating. And I'm currently learning Spanish. So when I go back to Mexico, I will be able to speak more to the local people, which would be nice. And yeah, as long as just trying to backpack across the world.
Oh, that's a plan. And my next or second question is, when you think about Czech students, how would you compare their level of English with, the other nations? I can see you've got a lot of practice with different, nationalities.
Yeah, I'd say that Czech level is quite high. You can tell that they've been studying in school from a young age, usually. Most of my students can speak pretty good English already. They just need to be a bit more confident. Some of the other things you notice with other countries is, like in Asia especially, is like they're using very shortened sentences, not using many connecting words, which is like a big deal. It's very broken. But the Czech English they're making full formulated sentences. It's really easy to understand, and their words are they're really good at pronouncing most of the words.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah.
But following with that, can you think about any typical Czech mistake or problem of Czech students as far as
I'd say
English?
the most common mistakes would be using the wrong prefixes like ing or ed at the end of words, and also
maybe can you give me an example like of the mistake?
So they would, instead of putting, like, for example, putting, they would just use the word put or putted instead of putting, or using the right end of the word. Another thing I noticed is when I ask a question and I ask them again if they understand what I'm asking, they will just say yes, they understand, even though I know that they didn't understand me.
Oh yeah, that's difficult.
Or I will say a question that is not a yes or no question, but they will answer with a yes or a no. Even though I could just say, like, how is the weather? And they will say yes.
Good. Yeah, I understand. Thank you. And was there something that surprised you about the Czech people, Czech students, or the way we behave or what we say?
I'd say the main thing that surprises me is how polite they are. They are often really shy when with their English. It's always the first thing they say, and they always say sorry about this, which is not necessary because everyone is learning, so it doesn't matter. Another thing I would say is that their vocabulary is very high. So they are using like words sometimes that I wonder, like, oh, how did you know that word? Like, which is surprising me sometimes.
Yeah, maybe they have good teachers here. And
yeah.
my last question is, what kind of advice would you give Czech students? Because, a lot of Czech students will probably watch our conversation. What would you tell them to, get better?
Just to remain calm and be confident. That's probably the easy things to say. And then to listen to podcasts and music, watching Netflix with English. And also don't just stick to, say, American English. Listen to English, American English, Australian English, even from people from Ireland or Scotland. That way you'll be able to understand all of the accents. And also body language is a big thing, because body language is quite global. So if you're using this along with what you're trying to get along in your sentences, it'll make it much easier for everyone to understand you. And also you'll be able to read what they're saying in return. And also, like, keep your humor. If you're funny, like, keep trying to make jokes, and eventually, like, it will come to you.
Fantastic. And also, they can call to you, because I heard that you're the special guy that everybody wants to go back again. So
yeah, I have multiple students coming back and calling me again and again, which is nice. I've built up quite a few relationships with some of my students. Like, some even call me every single day.
Wow,
which is great.
You're really popular.
I wish.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time and for talking to me. It was a pleasure.
No problem. Yeah, have a nice day.
The same to you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Tak, To byli naši 4 báječní rodilí mluvčí, nebo taky lektoři, tutoři z blabu.com. Mě by hrozně zajímalo, jestli na tom, co říkali, vás něco překvapilo, jestli tam bylo něco, co jste nečekali, že jste si říkali wow, tak to jsem si nikdy nemyslel nebo nemyslela, nebo naopak, jestli to bylo přesně tak, jak jste čekali. Tak když mi dáte vědět do komentářů, tak budu nadšenej, jsem moc zvědavej, co si o tom myslíte, nebo o tom, co říkali. No a kdybych to měl sám za sebe shrnout, tak mi přijde, že to vlastně hlavní poselství celého toho videa je, že bychom se neměli bát, že bychom se měli přestat stydět, že jsme vlastně docela šikovní. To je dobrý, že? A že bychom si měli užívat to, že můžeme komunikovat s jinýma lidma a nebát se to zkoušet. A například to můžete vyzkoušet právě s těmhle 4, já na ně hodím dolů odkaz, nebo s jinýma lektorama z Blabu, ale samozřejmě i s kýmkoliv jiným. Hlavní teda je nebát se a mluvit. No a na závěr to hlavní, jako vždycky, don't forget to stay awesome and dream big. Bye bye.